Hi guys, it's Jax here. I'm decided to make a video. I was making a knife video for a fellow knife maker, and my battery ran out on my camera. So while that's charging, I kind of decided to just to shoot the time, or to waste some time or whatever, that I would show a knife that I made. And actually, this is a file knife. So I'm going to talk a little bit about using files to make knives. So here we are. It's probably about 1:30 in the morning, and just kind of waiting. I had everything set up to show how to sharpen a hawkbill blade. I had my grinders all ready to go, and my piece of steel there, and then my battery ran out. So you know what? I'm just gonna make a video and tell a little story about this knife here, and talk about files and files for knife making. So, anyways, you know what's so special about files is that I think files really introduce more people into knife making, maybe than any other tool recycling project that I can think of. I mean, I guess this has been going on for a long time, where you know, it's just good steel. If the steel is so hard that it is used to cut metal, files are good. You know, good high carbon steel. And of course, a lot of blacksmiths and tool people that use tools recognize that. And rather than chuck a file that has worn teeth out, I guess in the spirit of recycling, they know it's the good stuff, and you can make other tools out of it. So it's kind of neat that it has like a life cycle, an indefinite or continual life cycle, because it's the good stuff, you know. So you gotta love a file knife. A couple days ago, I saw a knife maker from Australia. I believe it was the guy from Australia there. He had made a knife out of a file, and I just looked at this thing and I thought, you know, it reminded me of when I first started making knives, which, you know, was only a few years ago. But and so much joy came out of it, and I'm a little bit lucky in that my dad is a really he's a kind of a man's man, and I guess what I'm trying to say is he's got a lot of tools, a lot of worn out tools, a lot of piles of steel and wood and all sorts of things. So I really got lucky in that he has boxes and boxes or he's got a lot of you know, old files, and I'm really lucky because I got some really good files in some of the older files, like Globe files from Canada from like 30 years ago. They use a steel called W2, which is a water-cooled steel. It's really high carbon content, like well over 1% carbon. It's got vanadium in it and stuff like that. I think W1 has tungsten in it. I might be mistaken, but super high quality, super deep or super hard, super awesome steel. You know, hardenable and all that kind of jazz. But so when I first started making knives, for those that don't know about me, maybe I'll turn this around and actually film myself. But my name is Jackson, and I live in Ontario, in a little town here in Ontario. I grew up in a big city in Manitoba called Winnipeg, but I moved out into the right in the forests in the country now, right on the shores of a lake. So I'm living at the lake right now, and a couple years ago, whatever happened, I got hit by the knife making bug, and I started making knives out of files. And what really had me interested was making Japanese tantos out of files, and that's what I did. I would take the file, I'd take a file like this or smaller, and I just looked at it, and it already had the shape of a tanto ready to go. I mean, if you look at this thing, I would take a marker and I would draw a line straight across there, and man, most of that tanto was already there. So I would just grind that line off so it had that chisel, that angled point, and then you know, I would start tapering down here and make a stick tang, or just, you know, like it had everything ready to go. So I made a huge tanto out of something like this. This is like 1/4 inch thick. This is a 1/4 inch thick of W2 steel. Like it's it's an awesome file, an awesome piece of metal, but it's just ready to go for a tanto. It's just hard. It's not so hard to explain, I guess, but I would take my marker and I would draw the lines on the tanto. I would decide where I wanted the blade to end and the handle to begin. I would chop off the rest of the metal. Sometimes you can use this. If you were a guy who wanted to be a blacksmith, to make a knife, you would keep this tang portion here. All you'd have to do is cut it right here, and then start stretching this metal out by heating it up and drawing it out. And then you already had a stick tang ready to go to make a Scandinavian style knife. I mean, and to look at that, the shoulders are already there for sliding your blocks of handles on. You could hammer. This is pretty thick. You could probably draw it out to longer. So anyways, just files. You know what? It's just so neat, files. You got to give files credit where credit's due. But so anyways. Anyways, like I was saying, my name's Jackson, and I started making knives out of files, and a lot of them I would cord wrap the handles with paracord that I took off my tactical flashlights, or I would go to the hardware store and find rope that I thought was good for handle wraps. Sometimes I made handles out of aluminum slabs and riveted them on, pardon me, and then I would also cord wrap them too and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed making files, and I gave most of them away. In fact, I gave all of them away, and then it started progressing, and I started making hunting style knives, and then eventually one day a guy in Winnipeg gave my brother-in-law a whole bunch of steel. He gave me this big knife maker starting package, and what I got was this huge bar of 1095 right from the suppliers that would give you the bar all flat and perfect, and like 3/16 of an inch thick by 1.5 inches wide. By the 1095 was a few feet, and he gave me this bar of 5160 spring steel. And where's my dirt bike? Oh, it's not in here, But anyways, so he gave me that 6-foot bar of 5160 spring steel, and then my brother-in-law bought me for my birthday a chunk of Damasteel Damascus, which was, who knows how much that cost. But so I finally had the steels to go a little bit beyond the files, and you know what? This is 2 or 3 years later. Maybe I've been doing this for even 4 years, and I still am using files. I just made a knife out of a file the other day, but I know I've showed this in the video, but this is a piece. This is my blade from that piece of 5160 spring steel, and it's just a thing. If you gotta love the 5160. So anyways, I won't go too much into that. I've already shown that, but that's from the huge bar. That's my story. For those of you that don't know, I'm turning 40 this year. So I'm probably maybe a little bit older than you might imagine. I was, born way back in the early 70s. But so that's my story, and yeah. So little insight about me. But anyways, you know what? Back to this knife here, and there's a story behind this knife. And what makes this knife so special is that it turned out so well. As a knife maker, I had a lot of troubles. I ran into a lot of problems with the putting the bevels on my blade. I started with these belt sanders, these little belt sanders like that, and if you screwed up, and dug too deep in the metal, you kind of ruined, or you kind of screwed up what you were working on in the first place. And sometimes my bevels would be uneven, and to this day I still have it's still a struggle putting the bevels on a blade. Unless you got really good belt sanders and you've developed good techniques and stuff like that. But so one day I grabbed a file about this big, something like this kind of size here, maybe 12 or 13 inches long, and I drew my knife design on it, and I started cutting it out on I probably started cutting it out with the sorry, the sanders, the belt sanders there. I might have used a hacksaw or a power saw to cut the tip off or whatever. I can't remember. No, I used a belt sander. So anyways, sorry about that. So anyways, I wanted a knife with full flat grind, and that's what this turned out to be. It's actually one of my best full flat grinds that I've ever done. So yeah, so I wanted a knife with a full flat grind. So what I did is I took it to my belt sander and I screwed it up horribly. It was really hard to maintain my hand on the belt sander at an angle to put that flat bevel on, right? So anyways, I screwed it up and it looked all ugly, and then I just kind of got ticked off and I put this piece of steel down and I walked away and actually left it there for months and months and months, maybe even half a year. So one day I went back and it was just sitting there, and I picked it up and I took it to this machine here. And this is the second belt sander that I ever bought. It's a 4-inch by, I forget what it is, 4 by 36 or 4 by 40 something. But these are great belt sanders because look at how wide and thick that platen is. You can lay a whole piece of steel down on there, grind the whole thing smooth and true from tip to butt. These are great belt sanders there. I just so happen to have broke my belt in mine, so it's out of commission. So anyways, what I did is I wanted that full flat grind. So I placed this knife against this belt sander and I tilted it to the angle that I wanted that flat grind bevel to be, and I worked that steel, man, and it took a long time. I mean, even though this is a power tool and I had probably a fresh belt or something on it, it took a while, and it really took a while. So anyways, I finally got into the groove, and anyways, I finally got my full flat grind bevels on it, because I was always reading about Spydercos and stuff like that with their full flat grind and the crazy cutting potential they had. So I finally did it, and I did it right. Both sides are a full flat grind. They're both as even as I could have got them. It's a full tang knife, so it's one nice piece of W2 high carbon steel. And what's really neat is that it turned out really nice. And as you can see, it comes to a very acute point. Done really well. I left the texturing on the back of the blade, as you can see, and then polished it to a really nice shine. I put some jimping in here with a Dremel to add a little extra grip. I also put some jimping down here in the weird little semi-choil thing. And then I put wood handles on it. Now, for whatever reason, I worked on the wood handles, and I eventually took them off. And what I did is I grabbed some sheets of aluminum, some flat sheets of aluminum. I cut 2 pieces out, probably shaped them, and then drilled some holes and took some aluminum rod. And if you ever want to make your own handles, you can get away with using just a piece of aluminum rod, or like this is a brazing rod. So it's a brass rod for welding, and you just strip the flux, which is that stuff, off, you know. And then underneath you got your brazing rod, and you can cut and make your own, you know, pins, and then peen them flat on an anvil with a peen hammer or whatever flat piece of metal you have. You can probably peen on a vise or something like that. But I guess I'm getting off topic here. So yeah, so, and the neat thing about this is it's all metal. I mean, everything's a high polish, and the handle's metal, the pins are metal. It's a full tang. It's all highly polished, pretty thick steel there. I mean, that's over 1/8 of an inch or something like that. And you know what? It turned out really well. So, and it's a big knife. It looks a lot like something you'd use for a steak knife or something like that. And I probably could have designed the handle better or something like that. But you know what? I don't think I would change a thing about it. It's really well done. It's mirror polished, beautiful steel, sharp as hell. And that's another thing that's always struck me about this knife. I tempered it, I quenched it and then tempered it really hard. So it's only tempered at like 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is for in Celsius. And then, so it's really hard. It's up there in the 61, 62, maybe even 63 Rockwell. And then I clamped it to my final sharpening jig and went through the grits on the stones. I don't know. It looks like I ended up with maybe a 600 grit. So I didn't put a super high polish, but I put a good solid edge on there. And I kind of made a mess here. I made a video to demonstrate its sharpness earlier. So what I did is I took this knife and this is a Cabela's catalog, and I cut with that file knife 370 pages into it, which is the whole catalog, cleanly sliced. It's hilarious. I made a hell of a mess, but I was making a video about sharpness there. And you know what, maybe I'll put it down and give it a try. Hopefully I'm in frame there. But, ow. So, what do we got here? I made a hell of a mess, guys. So hopefully I'm in frame, but here's page 203 to 370. So about 170 pages. And it's hard to cut this. Hopefully I do it right, but so oops. I missed a bit, but so you know what, I'll just bite into that again for a second here. And just chewed into that, but I might have dulled it from, from the first bit of cutting I did, but maybe I'm being too much. Here's, maybe I'll try like 50 pages or something like that, and just show you. I guess it's such thin paper that it kind of folds. Let me see. Maybe light pressure is the key here. No, it's hard, but so anyways, that's not working out that great. I gotta find a way to hold the paper to really. There we go. I don't know if you saw that, but that's a mighty slice. Maybe 120 pages. Try that again on the back side. Just by placing it down and holding it down. Oops, it's so hard to get. And drawing it across there. That bit really deep, that. Holy God. So, sorry guys, I'm just kind of having fun here. I'm just kind of farting around, but yeah. So that's what you can get with a good file knife, is that good sharpness there. So anyway, sorry about that. I'm just kind of lost myself there. So that's the file knife. Anyways, you know what? I really would like to see file knives that you guys have made, or any knife really, as a matter of fact. So that would be great. And while I'm at it, here's a neat thing. Here's a straight razor from about 1910 or 1901. This is about 80 some years old. It's given to me by my dad. Has a really ancient 85, 90-year-old black patina on it. This is probably my sharpest blade that I have, or maybe it's probably the sharpest blade I do own. I kind of honed it up really nicely, but it's just really silky smooth. This one I honed with like I don't remember if it was 1,000 grit or 2,000 grit, and I stropped it. And this will you can pluck a hair you can pluck a hair and then carve that hair into other hairs with this thing. And this is what I shave with. This is actually what I used to shave with. I got a cut on my throat from it. But it's really neat. So knives are really cool there. You know, really awesome. But anyways, guys, sorry, I'm kind of rambling on here. But anyways, so this is a tribute to the file knife, and just showing one of my pieces of work here. The kind of futuristic, all metal, high polished file knife. So anyways, from Jackson here in the garage, waiting for his camera to charge, and just kind of screwing around. Anyways, thanks for joining me, and thanks for watching, and take care. See you later.